Dear students, today we shall be discussing W.B.Yeats as a romantic poet. First, we shall discuss what the term romanticism means. Romanticism was an artistic and intellectual movement in arts and literature which started in late 18th century. It emphasized inspiration, subjectivity, and primacy of emotions. W.B. Yeats had a long career of near about half a century. He started as a romantic poet and ended his career as a modern poet. During this, he reflected many of the traits of romanticism in his poetry. The first trait of romanticism in him is escapism. He shows the feeling, the desire to leave this world and to go either in the lap of nature or to any city where he can find solace, where art, literature, and sculpture are emphasized. The same note of escapism is found highly in the poem Sailing to Byzantium, where he wants to leave this world and to have a form of a golden bird pleasing the ladies and lords of Byzantium. He reminds us the nightingale of Keats, which also had the same characteristic, which was immortal. The note of escapism is also found in the opening lines of the poem The Lake Isle of Innisfree, where he says, I shall arise and go to the city of Innisfree. Romantic poets are highly self-revealing. They are autobiographical and impersonal. The same is there in the poems of W.B. Yeats. He wrote personal poetry, revealing his spirit, thoughts, and feelings. The poem Easter 1916 is remarking on various persons with whom he had close relations during his lifetime. In the poem The Tower, he is able to sublimate his loss of Morgane. He says, does the imagination dwell the most upon a woman won or a woman lost? The poems To a Shade, When You Are Old, A Bronze Head, Friends are highly self-revealing. They reveal, and A Prayer for My Daughter is also the same. The next quality of romantic poets is love for mythology. Yeats also had a great love for mythology. Like Keats, his early poems abound in Irish and Greek mythology. Frequently he refers to them like Troy, Leda, Zeus, Aphrodite, Byzantium, dolphin, nightingale, mythological beasts, sphinx-like figures, and fairy figures. I quote from them. And therefore I have sailed the sea, and come to the holy city of Byzantium. The romantic poetry is abounding in melancholy also, and the poems of W.B. Yeats are melancholic in nature. There is lamentation for disappearance of good things. There is lamentation for the loss of love. There is lamentation for the physical powers leaving him. Sailing to Byzantium is melancholic because he feels the body becoming powerless and the soul becoming stronger, but he is soon overpowering this melancholic feeling, and he rejoices in the supremacy of soul. The poem Wild Swans at Kule is also showing how he feels sad when he sees the swans with the same spirit, with the same power, with the same strength, while he has become old, he has become powerless. I quote, I have looked upon these brilliant creatures, and now my heart is sore. The romantic poets are having nostalgia in their poems, and thus this nostalgia is also found in the poetry of W.B. Yeats. The old island, Morgon, and his past is there. He is feeling very sad when he remembers all these things. The poem Amongst School Children is just having the same feeling when he is lost into the days of past. I dream of a baby bent above a sinking fire. The poems of Yeats are full of love for nature, and the nature is there in the poem Sailing to Byzantium, in the poem Lake Isle of Innisfree. Sailing to Byzantium, he is referring to fish, fowl, and flesh. In the poem Sailing to Lake Isle of Innisfree, also he is sailing the sea and to go to the city of Byzantium. And the poem Wild Swans at Kule also shows love for nature. The trees are in their autumn beauty, the woodland paths are dry. So, in the same way, in the poem Sailing to Byzantium, he is showing love for nature, though this nature is golden now, to sit upon a golden bow, to sing to lords and ladies of Byzantium. So he prefers bow, the branch, though it may be made of gold, but he wants to have natural things all around him. The poem's romanticism is also having a characteristic of imagery and symbolism. The poems of W.B. Yeats are having vague and beautiful images of flowers, stars, birds, and mythical figures. In later poetry, there are horrible images, images of spiritus mundi and all that. His poems are full of symbolism. One more characteristic of romanticism is love, and the poems of Yeats are abounding in love. Love poems are there, and symbols are also there. He has used. He was inspired by Baudelaire and Mallarmé. He had read Arthur Symons' book, and Arthur Symons also telling about him, chief representative of symbolist movement. He is calling him the chief representative of symbolist movement. In his poems, the tower is having a symbol of mask. His Byzantium poems are also having a symbol of Byzantium. Byzantium is a symbol of the supremacy of art over life. There is also a symbol Jair. Jair is a symbol of divine impregnation of a mortal woman, and these poems are mystical in nature. He is having mystical figures like Second Coming and other poems. There is interaction between human beings and divine. Theosophy, spiritualism, philosophy all demonstrate his interest in divine and how it interacts with humanity. Human and divine interaction takes many forms in his poems. So we can say W.B. Yeats is a highly romantic poet. Thank you, students, for being with me.